Yay!
I wonder if the webcam can be accessed. Nope. So strange. I mean, it just eats all the mouse inputs.
Yum, yum, eat 'em up. Ah, what was that echo? Why am I getting echo?
Is this a Windows box,
Yeah.
Thomas?
Are you guys not hearing that echo too?
Nope.
I'm hearing a little bit, yeah. Yeah, I hear it. Yeah.
Yep. Not it.
How's the 3D printing life, John?
Save it for the show.
Okay. That's fair.
But we need to get rid of that echo, wherever it's coming from.
Echo, echo. I mean, I can mute and you can see if it's me. Let me see. Where's my Skype?
Yeah, let me see. Yep, I still hear it.
All right, you mute. Are you muted?
How about Tom mute? Okay.
Yeah, it's him.
Yep.
Nope. Wait, no.
No. Huh.
Hello?
Yeah, it's
I
still
still
there.
hear it. Yeah. Hello? Hello? Yeah, it's still there. You sure
What
it's
in
not
the
me?
world?
It
Positive.
might be. Hold on. Let me verify OBS advanced audio properties. No, that's correct. That looks right. Shouldn't be monitoring.
I don't hear when Thomas talks.
Let me check one thing. How about now?
Let me see. Can I hear myself? Yeah,
Huh.
I think that took care of it.
What did you change?
I turned system sound off on my OBS, where it was feeding system sound back into the stream. I don't know why you would hear it. You would hear yourselves. You're not on the monitor.
It was very light in the background, but it was enough where you could hear.
That's fine. I'm not using my sound effects anyways. Da, da, da. Oh, right. My mouse button doesn't work when I do that. Really excited about this, Logitech. You've really excelled. All right, I'm just going to have to stumble through this like I did last week.
You don't have just a cheapo mouse USB mouse to throw in there? I got a box full here if you want one.
No, it's fine.
Need.
I'll fix it this week.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know, Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John. You know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole.
Now the question is, can you hear us now?
I could hear you the whole time.
Why didn't you answer? Why didn't you answer
I
me?
couldn't hear you over the sound of the. I hear the.
But you just, you said you heard us the whole time.
I heard the
so
two of you bickering.
confused.
That was what I heard.
No,
We were talking to you.
I was asking, can I just start the show when
Yes.
this is over? Do we have more to
just
talk
start
about?
the show.
I'm pretty sure this is our last show for a while. All right. Let me go ahead and kick it off. It's another Thursday, and you know what that means. PHPUgly, episode 224 is kicking off. I'm your host, Eric Van Johnson, and with me, John Congdon.
Hello, hello. Glad you made it this week, Eric. I know it was touch and go from last week.
And Thomas Rideout.
Hello. I'm already over this episode.
I was ready to wrap this one up. That's good, because I can just edit this before tonight and not even have to worry about it. Just get it done.
Out.
It's one of those things where you feel it's off, right? It's like it's not there
I'm
tonight.
feeling it. I was feeling it fine until the Logitech camera software decided that my mouse shouldn't work on my other computer. And so the same as last week, my mouse now no longer works when I'm on my other desktop, which seems like a dumb thing for a camera software to do.
Yeah, I am still in San Diego. As I mentioned last week, I was going to be heading out to Arizona. Turns out I'm not going to head out until tomorrow. It's one of the joys of having a ill dog, is trying to make sure you have coverage. So we couldn't work it out. So we ended up staying another day. Not a big deal, but I don't know, man. Having a good week though. I tell you, I'm living the UUID life, man. I swear to God, half my time is just fixing broken packages that don't know how to handle UUIDs. And yes, you're all broken. You're broken. I just don't understand it. You have no need to assign a big init to your IDs, and you do. But whatever. But yeah,
until you talk to people that know databases inside and out, and then you get annoyed because you realize you're doing things so wrong. Like what
me?
No, people in general. Like what version of UUID do you use?
I would have to look at my package. I forget. It's the one that's supposed to be more random. But
see, I think that's really bad for performance within MySQL versus since you're using it as an index versus using the UUID that is time-based, where there's some sort of order to the UUIDs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it actually I've thought about that a lot because there's a couple things I've thought about. I'm really on the edge of breaking down and just assigning a UUID column and just giving up on letting it be the primary ID. I haven't done it yet, but like every time I get caught up fixing another package, I'm like, damn it, if I just put this in another column, I wouldn't have to worry about it. But then I have to, you have to train all the developers who work on things to say, okay, this is how we identify a record. It's not the primary ID, but it's a UUID. And this latest app that I was working on, I don't know. It's an internal app to Diego Dev. And so I'm like, I doubt if there's ever going to be another developer who works on this. I can probably just do it. And I don't know. I'm a grumpy old man who wants to always be right. So I haven't done it yet, but I'm really close to just waving the white flag on my UUID as the primary key thing. But to your point, John, not to get distracted. Yeah. So one of the problems I not a problem so much, but with the way I use UUIDs, you can't be sure that the records in the database, if you're sorting by the ID column, are in order by creation. You have to actually sort by the created at date, which again, not a huge deal, but it would be nice to have that time-based UUID where I can, because again, traditionally people sort by the ID field. So if I had a time-based UUID, I would imagine my records would be in order by creation. So yeah, I've been giving that a lot of thought.
I assume so too. But again, it comes down to the internals of MySQL and how indexing works, why having them incremental works better than completely random. So that's just another reason to have an integer auto increment ID field so that you have all your foreign keys are just integers. They're a little better on performance, but reference everything through the UUID. That would be what you pass around in all of your URLs, and then it doesn't really matter as much. Although you still want them, you still want that indexed because you're going to be searching by that.
Yeah. And I still want any relationships, any of those foreign IDs, to be based on UUID in case I switch databases. So that's where I start saying, well, then what's the point, right?
Why would you
switch
databases?
That's valid.
Well, not necessarily switch. It's just if we have to. Well, no. Okay, let's say switch. Let's say I start putting something in a CouchDB database that's referencing things by UUID, but I have relationships defined by IDs. So at some point I'd have to do a translation, which is a pain in the ass. I don't know. I keep going back and forth on this. Like I said, I'm sticking to it, but I don't know, man. It's just never stops. It's just like, I know in like 10 years, everybody's going to be doing UUIDs, and I'm going to be like, yeah, I told you guys this was a good idea. And everybody be like, what are you talking about? I remember you being like stupid about this and not wanting to do it.
Well, as you were talking, I was also thinking back to event sourcing, where with event sourcing, you can't have an auto increment ID to do it properly. You have to generate a brand new ID when you create your first event. When you create your aggregate, you're defining that. You're not letting the database define it for you. So
yeah. But yeah, man, we had an inspiring week as a company. I tweeted about this, so this is not news if you follow me on Twitter, but our primary client, like our biggest client that we've had for a long time now, I don't know how many years.
7 years now?
7 years. When we first started working for them, we were taking over for another development group. And there was a little transition there, but not a lot. And according to the client in our meeting this week, The bug count was at 1,231 bugs when we took over. That was his official bug count. And in our weekly meeting with the client today, the bug count was 9. And it was just like they had built up this big thing of I want the owner of the company was like I want to see the bug count down to single digits. If we've never been to single digits, if we get to single digits, I just feel like that would be an accomplishment. And so this week we'd gotten down to single digits.
It felt like we sat in that 10 to 12 range for like months.
Yeah, we fixed
were
the
down
bug
in
and a new one would
that
open.
10 to 20 for so long.
And that's the thing. It's like this is a old legacy app. If you've been listening to the show for a while, you've listened to our challenges with you kind of helping it along and building it back up and making it modern. But there were a lot of issues, and it's not like there was 1,231 bugs and that was all the problems. I mean, bugs kept getting reported, and there was a while, this was one of the things the client said, there was a long time where we'd fix one thing, to break 10 other things. So that's, I mean, we've all had that challenge, but it's frustrating for the client. It's like, oh, this report's not working correctly. That's fixed. Oh, well, now 4 other reports are broken. And one of the things they said now, because we've taken a lot of time at introducing proper patterns and, better practices, better architecture. There's a lot of things we did. Some of them were very painful things for the client to have to live through, but they pushed through it. And now it's like when we tell them we're fixing a bug, they have this high level of confidence that other things aren't breaking, that they're not aware of. And a lot of that, comes down to testing, code reviews. There's just been a lot of things that we've implemented.
So you say that whole thing about you fix one thing, it breaks 10 others. And then you say we've all had that. That just, for some reason, that sparked a memory of a contractor we had years ago who I was trying to convince that we should be doing unit tests and couldn't convince him why. I'm like, because when you break one, or when you fix one thing and you break 10 others, and he looked at me like I was crazy. I'm like, no, you've had that happen. No, I've never had that happen. I'm like, okay.
I believe his actual reply was, "Don't write bad code."
I think you're right. It was something like that.
It's like, you haven't been doing this very long, have you?
That was always, I hated that. I mean, I still do. You innocently fix something and you don't realize that you broke something until usually it's in production. You're like, why didn't I see that in development?
Or use cases. You don't think of all the use cases. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one. I had one of my fixes come back to bite me that I fixed like a year ago at this point, where doing huge queries, and I want to get the total record count as well. So I'm doing pagination, but I also want to get the record count. And MySQL makes that very easy with a select SQL count total rows or whatever that command is. And then you follow it up with a subsequent select found rows. So you do one query, it gets the total count and your paginated results. And then your second query tells you there's 5,000 records or whatever it is. And I wrote code using that. It was great till I got it into production. And it was because production was using proxy SQL. So the first query, the big query, would come in and would go to a replica. And then the second query would come in and would go to the primary database. So the replica would have the information, 5,000 records, but then the second query comes in and goes to primary and says, oh no, there's only 5 records. And my workaround, and it worked, was I put it in a transaction. So that always goes to the same server.
Very smart.
Mm-hmm. Until a year later, when we're having all these database issues, we're like, well, now the queries aren't going to the replica, they're all going to the primary. So there's got to be another way around it. And we came up with something, but it's just, again, there's certain things you don't see until you're in production, because it's so hard to replicate all those little things in a development environment. Not impossible, just not likely.
Thomas, you're being pretty quiet over there, man. You okay?
He's fighting a
I
mouse.
swear to God, my mouse just stopped working on my other machine. Nothing works correctly. Everything's awful.
Tom fought the mouse and the mouse won.
I think we have a title of our show
I've
there.
been doing the crypto stuff again. Yeah, I'm actually still mining even. I'm not making a lot, but I'm mining a coin that I have projected very highly, so it will, long run, it will pay out. Looking at some like weird stuff in the crypto place, this new thing called an NFT, which is like a unique token. There can only be the one of these, and people are
kind of like a UUID.
People are selling art with this token. So like you can actually go to let me see if I can find the URL here with my barely working system.
Well, if you were a Vim guy, you wouldn't need a mouse. Just
That's
saying.
right. If you were in Pop OS, you wouldn't need a mouse. Do everything with your keyboard now in Pop OS.
So if you go to OpenSea.io, OpenSea.io.
And if only we had somebody with a OBS that could share that with the stream.
And yet.
The largest NFT market. Buy, sell, and discover rare digital items.
Yeah.
Oh, is this that whole trying to put value to nothing? Like the whole, is this related to like the whole baseball cards, the virtual baseball cards and stuff like that?
Yes, this is the virtual baseball card thing. And hey, look.
I am not a fan of this. Go ahead. You were killing me, Smalls.
Oh boy. Yeah, if only anything I did worked today. So, yeah, it's weird, and like you can see the image that somebody like quote unquote owns, like the picture, but as long as they have the token, they're the owner. Which, so what?
Yeah, like I said, they're just trying to capture that whole comic book baseball card rarity, gives it value sort of thing. There is
a place where this kind of makes sense. So when you get into the crypto stuff, you find these stable coins, they're called, which are coins that are hard attached to cash. Some currency, some fiat currency of some type. So the big common one here is USDT. It's the US dollar token. And if you have these, one token is always worth $1. So if you think that the market's going to get super volatile and all the coins are going to crash, you can transfer everything into these stable coins and just ride out the crash and then pop back in.
But what would be the difference between doing that and just, putting it in cash?
As cash isn't something that I can transfer on the blockchain. I can't just transfer cash through the blockchain. So when I go on a marketplace and I put in a purchase order for Bitcoin at 50,000, I have to have that 50,000 as a fungible token so that I can fill the order as soon as someone offers it to me. So I have to be able to say, hey, as soon as someone says, I've got 50,000, I've got one at 50,000, give me the money, then the marketplace has to say, okay, here's the money. and the marketplace isn't going to loan me $50,000 for 1 Bitcoin, so I have to put that money into a wallet that can transfer to the destination address. So
isn't that what, like, Coinbase and those other
Coinbase isn't
sites like that?
a trading platform, though. Coinbase lets you buy and sell crypto, but it doesn't let you do things like set open orders or stop limit orders or even more tricky things. In those marketplaces, everything has to be automated. And so having a tokenized version of a dollar makes everything move a lot smoother for people who are used to valuing things in dollars. So there's also a PHPUgly coin, which is gold. I believe it's 1 ounce of gold to 1 coin. And they actually have gold in a vault. And if you request your gold, they send it to you. You can trade your token for your gold. Now, that's also not an NFT. But I could easily see a situation where if I had a piece of art, a painting, that I wanted to trade around in a marketplace, I could give it to a warehouse that gave me a token back. And whoever held that token was allowed to request it out of the warehouse to display it. So it can represent a physical good.
But that was also the promise of Ethereum and Bitcoins, and like everyone was trying to use blockchains to do this.
Yeah, most of these
same
NFTs
type of thing
are built on top of Ethereum. So they're Ethereum tokens. And when you look at the prices for these kinds of things, they'll often list it in both US dollars and Ethereum. Then there's also, the idea of games, trading card games like Magic, where a company can say, hey, we have the card in stock and it's dedicated to you, but you can play with it digitally using this token. And if you ever want to actually own the physical card, we don't have to print it. It's already been printed and assigned to you. So it can be attached to physical goods in a very interesting, dynamic way. But for right now, I mean, it really is just a bizarre, like, people selling digital art platform. And
Yeah. It was also the promise of that with, like, housing deeds and
right.
everything
and
else.
I think eventually we'll end up there. Eventually there will be an NFT that is tied to a house. So NFT is where that is the technology that concept was waiting for.
So you're back to mining. What else is, like, I don't even know what I was asking there.
You mentioned Coinbase.
Coding.
Damn it, John. Did.
Coinbase is going public. Did you guys know that?
Did not. Don't care. That's cool, I guess. I use Coinbase. I think that's actually where I still have my my Bitcoin on.
That is a
Let's
bad
log
place
in
to
and
have
see,
your
shall we?
Bitcoin.
Coinbase. Why am I not surprised you say that?
In preparation,
I don't
for
care.
They're going public. They got evaluated at $77 billion.
Well,
Which just isn't. It's not fair.
oh, that's wrong.
No.
That's not fair.
All I want's $1 million.
Oh, jeez. Maybe stop spending all your time with Bitcoin and do some real goddamn work for a change. What? Was that
I'm
on
working
air?
on it.
Sorry. How are you, John?
I've been doing nothing but 3D printing.
24/7, pretty much.
This thing runs 24/7. My wife is wondering when it's coming to your house.
Have you made anything useful yet? Is it all just toys?
I made that.
That is.
Yeah, this doesn't work well on audio podcasts, but my kid saw it right away, and he knew that when you do this and then you flip that in, it's a transformer. It is Laserbeak, so it will be their first Decepticon.
Ooh.
You remember Laserbeak? He came out of
Soundscreen.
Soundwave? Forget his name,
Starscream.
but no, not Soundscreen. No, not Starscream.
Soundwave was the Walkman.
Yeah, this came shooting out of his chest. Yeah. So yeah, I've been doing that. I printed some stuff for Eric, which I've showed him already, but all he wanted was a hat rack. So I printed him a hat rack.
Very nice.
It is the Batman logo. I printed a headset stand for his wireless headphones.
Oh, I like the new bass you put on there.
Oh yeah, I didn't show that to you yet.
Yeah.
So Eric's a big Batman fan, so I did that. I did my own 3D drawing. I created a little bracket for my silverware drawer because it's been annoying me for the years since I've lived in this house. We have just a wooden drawer that holds all the silverware inside the drawer, so when you open it, especially with the kids opening it fast, the thing just slides around. And for years, I've just used Scotch tape to kind of try and hold it to the front of the drawer. So I actually designed stupid simple brackets, but it was the fact that I designed it in a 3D application and printed it, which was a ton of fun just seeing it come to life. So nothing like super useful. It's just right now it's fun learning.
Better than I did in the period of a year.
I mean, with Thingiverse, it's super easy to grab something and print it real fast.
A nice printer that you don't have to configure 4 times before printing everything.
Yeah, I mean, they've come a long way in the last couple of years too, I think. So I can't wait to get the enclosure for it and do some laser etching and some CNC work.
The smoke from that stuff will kill you.
Oh, that's why I got the case and it has an exhaust. See? Thinking. Sort of. Not really. More thinking for the kids. I don't want my kids walking in and looking at a laser.
Generally a good
Probably
idea.
not good.
Is it? Maybe that's what I've been doing wrong.
Speaking of kids,
so I have a question for you guys. Go ahead. You talk about kids.
I'm losing my office. Yeah.
What?
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks.
My daughter is making an early return from her trip to California, and my oldest son is not ready to move out yet, so I am moving back in the bedroom.
Oh man, when is this happening?
March 6th.
So
yeah.
Just a couple weeks away.
Yeah. So I've got to take the gun off the wall and move my impossibly large desk. That's the hardest part is this desk. I have one of the best desks ever made. It's the IKEA Jerker. And it's
sound like a Deadpool.
It's really nice, but it's like 200 pounds and doesn't fit through a door assembled.
And it was a requirement because of the business he's in.
Oh, and Roger says he's lost his office and he's in the furnace room. I feel you, man.
Oh.
Well,
I used to. Good.
You say that, but he might be in Texas and loving the furnace room right now.
Oh, Texas.
That's true.
Just makes you want to get on a plane and go to Cancun, doesn't it? Although if I did that, I probably wouldn't lose my job.
He's not gonna lose his job
He ain't
either.
gonna win his re-election.
You know, that was
wait. What?
Ted Cruz.
What did I miss?
You didn't hear about that?
I obviously not. I
Yeah,
have no
power
clue what
went
you're
out in
talking
Texas,
about.
so he hopped on a plane with his daughter and went to Cancun. Yeah,
Oh,
in the middle of
That's
what
what I
has
would-
been called a humanitarian crisis. Office manager's upset about it too. Yeah, so you were gonna say, go on.
I was waiting for Eric because he had something he was gonna say about a furnace room, but he's dealing with the poor puppy. My dog has gotten huge. My dog has grown 50% in the 3 weeks that we've had him.
It happens so crazy fast. Our dog is about 1.5 years now, and I mean it took him 3 months to get 90% the size he is now. He's just enormous. And amazingly enough, I was just in court today for my dog. That was a real fun one.
Really? What happened?
A woman who doesn't like that the public dog park is near her house has a tendency to complain about people who have dogs at the dog park and say that the dog bit them, and then scratch her arm until the police show up and file complaints. So, yeah,
Really?
and it's the whole system for it is so bizarre because she basically provided no evidence that anything happened whatsoever, but the cop had to take down the complaint anyways. And and we go to court, we meet with the public attorney, and the attorney says, well, you can plead guilty to a lesser charge. I'll give you a plea deal where basically the dog is on probation for 1 year. And once that's over with, then it's all stricken from the record, so you don't have to worry about it. But then there's a court fee of $100. Or you can come back here a third and fourth time for a court case where you plead not guilty and you get a judge trial, and you still have to spend your money getting here and your time, and it's like you're really railroaded into the system. They're just take the lesser charge. And I'm like, the thing didn't happen. The complaint never occurred. Why would we plead guilty? And she's like, because it's just $100. I could imagine not having enough money to cover any of this stuff and just how horrible the entire system is designed to screw people over. And
that's absolutely
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
It's totally ridiculous. And now we're pins and needles, because if the dog does bite someone and there's a complaint, then my wife is in violation of her parole and could go to jail. And it's like, it really is a screwy system, especially during COVID. We couldn't have just had a Skype call to do this. We have to go to the courthouse downtown and deal with it.
They would think you were a
Not
cat.
a cat.
So no, you can't just do a Skype call.
Not a cat.
That was actually our thumbnail for
I did
last
see
week.
that.
I don't
I
know
love
if you caught that or not. I made you a cat.
But yeah, you end up leaving the courthouse just sort of going, what just happened? I just got completely railroaded. This is bizarre. I'm walking back to my car and I just now realizing we pled guilty to a criminal charge.
Buttery asked, Buttery, I think it's the same in the U.S., but I'll say it on air. Buttery says, in the UK in civil court, all expenses are recovered from the other side if you win. Is it not the same in the US?
It actually gets really, really bizarre here. This was not a civil case. This was a criminal case because the police took the record of a dangerous animal. So there's no complainant other than the state. If it were a civil case, then I would be absolutely destroying this bitter old woman. And I would have to file a countersuit to recompense my expenses. The state doesn't just say because I won, I get paid my expenses. It's a good system in the UK, works really well, stops a lot of frivolous lawsuits. Doesn't fly here. We are the land of the patent troll.
Well, I got some good news this week.
What is that?
I know you guys, well, Thomas, you're just out in left field. I can't help you. I know John's always talking about how crazy it is with my Vim configuration. I was a big plugin user. So I'm always kind of a little, not bleeding edge so much, but I'm definitely more bleeding edge than your out of the box Vim person like John is. Yeah. So like my real Vim setup, I have Neo Vim now, and I have a bunch of new plugins that I use that I enjoy a lot. But I've been working hard at having PHPStorm mimic a lot of what I do in just regular Vim, because PHP or JetBrains just in general, that plugin that they have, Idea Vim, is just fantastic. It's one of the best Vim, I guess it's an emulator or binding. I'm not even sure what you call it, but it emulates Vim in the JetBrains product. So for me, it's PHPStorm mainly, and it's great. I mean, it keeps getting better and better every release it does. And this week they had a release that fixed one of my biggest complaints about using Vim in PHPStorm, which is when I open up my navigation window, the project view where you see all your folders. In Vim, there was a popular tool called NERDTree, and that would give you your file structure of the folder that you're in or the project you're in. And PHPStorm, I forget what it's called, it's Project View or something like that. Same thing. Well, now they have NERDTree in PHPStorm. So before I had key bindings where I could open up that project view by hitting my NERDTree key combination that I had from Vim. So again, all that stuff translates to me. So I'd hit my leader key and I hit NT for NERDTree, and that would show up. But I would have to stop using my keyboard at that point because I couldn't navigate the files with my keyboard. I would have to reach for the mouse, find things, and find another way to close it.
Yeah, you can.
How's that? I mean, you can type in the name of the file, right? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I would have cases where I'm like just trying to look through the structure and look at certain things. I'd want to go like navigate up and open up the folder and like clicking through a file system, right?
Right. Yeah, you can do that with your keyboard within PHPStorm.
Oh, really?
So you start typing, which does just a search in any list. You find your folder, right arrow would open the folder, and then you can keep searching for your next thing.
Your right arrow. Oh, you're back to the arrow thing. Okay. Well, it doesn't matter now, John. Yeah, Tom, you dick.
Purely out of
It's not
habit.
a problem anymore. No, it doesn't matter anymore, John, because they integrated NERDTree to PHPStorm. So now I can just keep with my normal key bindings, including, I don't know, maybe you can tell me how to do this with regular PHPStorm. And I will say, one of the benefits are not one of the benefits. One of the well thought through things of PHPStorm, even if you're not a Vim person and understand Vim bindings, is just about everything in PHPStorm is still accessible through keyboards. So they really make it so that you can pretty much do anything you want with the keyboard. It's just if you're accustomed to Vim, it doesn't really translate. It's not like a Vim scenario. It's just like, oh hey, if you want to do this, you hit do your little Shift Control Alt F12 sort of thing. But now with PHPStorm, I can use my NERDTree. So even if I want to create a new file, Jesus, I can't think of what it is. I think it's M. I have to actually be typing it, but I think it's M, and NERDTree will actually open up the dialog box to say, hey, copy this file, create a new file, delete this file, and now it doesn't. All it does in PHPStorm is like you right mouse clicked on the file, so it brings up kind of the same contextual menu that you could do the same thing. You create a new file, all that other stuff, but you can do it through your keyboard bindings. So I'm enjoying it. I'm liking it. Anything that makes PHPStorm more Vim for me, I like a lot.
Are you?
Thomas, you dick.
Oh, don't say that, because I'm about to give you some really bad news.
Oh shit!
How long have we been recording?
I don't know, 50 minutes.
You never hit start on Zencaster.
Professionals, podcasting professionals. This seems like a good time to mention that we now accept a sponsor level Patreon. That's how good we are.
I'm having such a bad day. I can't even begin to tell you how bad of a day I'm having, and this is just the end of it. I appreciate that,
sorry.
Thomas.
I usually remember to remind you of that. Sorry.
Yeah, that was my fault. I wanted to make sure everybody's mic setups were right before I hit start, because Zencaster did a bunch of new stuff, and it's going to make editing this podcast a lot simpler. I'm just going to pull down from YouTube, and that'll be it.
Oh boy,
that's it. This just goes out. This is what we call a rough cut. This will be a rough cut podcast
because it's not professional.
That's true. Yeah.
Harry Mack said it. Yeah. He called us out on it.
I so badly want to hit the button now, but it's like, why bother? All right, you guys got to start over.
So in PHP land, since we haven't done any of that, today, enums passed. It will be in 8.1. So that's super exciting. If you want to check out the enum stuff and how it all works and how you can use it, Stitcher.io has a great blog post on PHP enums written just yesterday. So I encourage everyone to check that out, because it's the kind of thing that I'll definitely be using a lot. I did some... I
already use them a lot.
But now there's like a built-in proper way to use them.
Yeah.
I did some tweaking on PHPStorm today as well. Hopped in and went through all of the coding style rules and made sure that they fit little tiny details that I wanted. And that was, always a nice way to spend a half an hour, is just going through settings. I wish there was a settings video game. It was just all settings.
How did you not already have that set up? Because you've been using it for
there were a couple
long
things
time.
I just sort of didn't care about and didn't spend the time getting into, like making sure that on sequential variable declaration the equal sign lined up. And
I want that so bad for the code base I work in, but the rest of the team doesn't. I lost out on that over multiple votes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm considering. I love it, and I'm considering turning it off for the one client I work with because they have a lot of developers, and a lot of them they don't use it. And so I make one change on a page, and I have it so that when I save, it auto formats everything for me. So I make that one change, and all of a sudden I've got 150 changes on the page just lining shit up. I'm like, oh god.
See,
Fortunately, they don't do code reviews, so
I, I I don't allow auto format for that very reason. I'd rather, if I know the code isn't up to the proper standards, I'd rather do that as a separate PR and be like, this is purely just a format thing. So if you were to use GitHub to hide white space, you'd basically see nothing or very little. And then that becomes way easier to approve than a crap ton of formatting changes and, oh, I fixed this bug. It's like, well, what else changed in here? Now I gotta go through all this crap.
sorry, GitHub hide white spaces.
Yeah.
Is that a setting?
Oh, it's a
No,
merge
well,
display.
it's not a
thing.
setting.
When it displays merge changes, it'll ignore white space changes.
On the PR. So you have to do it every single time, which is annoying.
How do you do that?
So when you're on the files changed tab,
Mm-hmm.
under the gear, you can
Yeah.
do a unified or split, and then you can hide white space changes.
Oh my! I'm gonna have to start doing that.
It is
That would
extremely useful.
hide white spaces. So the person opening the PR has to configure that.
No, nope. When you're doing a code review, when you're looking at a PR,
Oh, when
you
you're
can
doing a review.
when
Okay.
you're looking at it, you can hide white space. And you can actually add it to the URL as well. It's just a question mark WS equals 1, I believe.
Oh,
And
I have to check that out.
super useful. And then that split and unified display, I usually leave it on unified, but there are times where the way it's shown together is annoying, so I then do a split view.
I think I always do split. The unified bugs me. I don't know why. Maybe I need to give that another look.
Yeah, I've always been a unified guy. I mean, I'm so used to the old days looking at patches, so knowing kind of what's going on with the minuses and pluses. But again, when it gets a little too hairy with the removes and additions all intermingled, it's easier just to split them out.
Wow, I never knew. Man, you're right. That would be a nice to be able to just have that be your default setting would be nice. It's funny because I think the split and unified becomes default once you select them, right?
Yeah, you're right. I'm pretty
Weird.
sure the white space does not, though.
Mm. Well, it's good to know. There you go. I learned something today. That's awesome.
Maybe it's just because Python cares about white space, or Perl.
That's true. Python does care about white spaces. That would be a problem for Python.
But it's only hiding white space change.
Yeah, but you could in Python you could introduce a bug with white space.
Yeah, that's true. You're smart. But it still should be configurable per person. Like, yeah. I want it to show. Anyway.
Or per extension. Like PHP files don't show me white spaces.
Submit it to Microsoft.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll show up in next week's news. Did you guys see this thing about browser favicons being used as super cookies?
Didn't we talk about that last week?
No, it was on the list, but I don't think we talked about it.
I don't think we talked about it.
It's interesting. Apparently, favicons have their own special cache, the F cache, which is global to multiple instances of the browser, doesn't get cleared by the normal browser history clearing stuff, and is even it's accessed by the incognito modes as well as the regular modes. So
that's true.
Exploiting
Yeah.
this cache can allow you to track a user even through incognito, and it's very interesting. There's a proof of concept up. This is an article from Vice. I'd love to copy and paste it, but
See, I always assumed incognito mode, I was being tracked anyway. I use incognito mode mainly to suppress most of my extensions. I never really thought I was hidden from anything. It basically gives me new sessions. I don't have my crap sessions that I already have.
It's supposed to be very secure.
But
the intention, I'll say, is supposed to be very secure.
I guess.
But yeah, that's a rough one. These damn hackers are always finding some new way to upset me.
Oh, you want to upset me this week? And John, you might appreciate this if you actually looked at that app I released earlier in the week. Fucking FVGs. Does anybody understand of anybody here? Obviously, somebody understands. Of the three of us, does any of us understand how to create, manage, scale SVGs?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Damn it. I need your help, Thomas. I thought so silly me thought it was be something like, oh, I'm sure I can take a PNG file, find an online converter, make it an SVG, and
no.
Be happy. And
no.
Nope, that's not true. No, you lose the colors, you lose all this other funky stuff.
You're lucky if it gives you something.
I spent way too much time trying to convert the Diego Dev logo to SVG. I love the concept of SVG. I mean, it's all code, right? There's no image to reference. You're just code. You put the code in the page. I love that idea, and I really want it for the Diego Dev logos. Man, I spent way too much time trying to recreate the Diego Dev logo, and then I finally get it acceptable because, like I said, I worked on this internal app and I wasn't really worried about the exposure. So I'm like, all right, you kind of get the idea. I doubt if anybody even noticed it. It's fine. It's fine for what it is. And I went to implement it and I'm like, okay, it's a little too big. Let me just scale it down. And it has these width height settings. I'm like, all right, let me just change that width. Let me just change that height. Yeah, that doesn't always work. It works to a degree, and then it stops working. And I'm like, what happened? And I'm doing all this research online. It's like, oh yeah, that only applies to these things. And oh my God, I got so frustrated just trying. I haven't been that frustrated since I tried to move something over 1 pixel through CSS. It was like mind blowing, man. I couldn't understand it.
It's just line drawings. You have to. It's like you were opening MS Paint and recording the inputs instead of the output.
So I will say this again. I try not to jump on this bandwagon too frequently, but this is one of the things where I love the fact that I was using Linux. All the tools that I use to do it run on other platforms because they're open source. But like I think it was Inkspot or Inkwell. I forget what the Inkscape. Yeah, that was the big thing that got me the furthest along. There were things you could do in Inkscape to get things translated. It allowed me to helped me capture the colors correctly, and oh man, I love open source. I just love it.
Yeah, I don't mess with SVGs. I know.
Oh, you don't?
Oh yeah.
But you know how to do it?
They're just terrible.
I need you to make the Diego Dev logo for me, man, and then tell me how to scale
SVGs
it.
don't need scaling. They're on a no. They're
Yeah, they do.
SVGs are points on a grid. So everything about it is relative to that grid. So you can scale the whole grid up, and it's completely lossless. As you draw a line, the thickness of that line is a number on the grid. So if you zoom in on it, the grid gets larger, the line gets larger, and it redraws it with a thicker line. So there's no such thing as scaling in SVGs.
El Gimbo, yeah. El Gimbo in chat, yeah, Inkscape is what I discovered that gave me the greatest help. Buttery, yes, view boxes. I learned all about the view box as well. I think the view box is actually what you're defining the width and height of, and not the actual SVG. So I ended up finding this other thing that like would scale would change the size of the SVG through a matrix, and oh man, it just felt like it shouldn't be that difficult. I'm like, I want it the same size as the view box. Why can't I just tell the view box how big to be and the image just like fill that view box? I don't understand.
Why did you care about why did you change it to an SVG? What was the point of it?
Because I want it to be an SVG, John, because I care. I care about our company and I care about our image. And I want an SVG for our logo because it's just code. And I like the fact that it's code.
Well, SVGs are also very, very small. So HTML can render SVGs just based off of the text. So, 1K would be considered a large SVG. So there's nice stuff about them, but yeah, it's for like original artwork. I'm sure that the guy who did the drawings initially has the original SVGs.
Oh wow! You know what? You might be correct. I need to go back and look at our original folder.
I can't tell. Oh yeah, good idea, Tom. You really thought that out.
No,
I could not tell.
Idea. Oh my gosh!
He did not give us an SVG. He gave us an EPS file.
But he probably has the original SVGs.
And we have the Illustrator file as well.
Yeah.
I'm Brian D.
Yeah,
that is pretty slick, right?
Yeah,
how'd you do that?
The AI final will convert to SVG, no problem.
I do believe we have that.
We do. I'm looking at it right now.
Look at this. Did you see in Discord? EPS might work. Yes, I know I have the EPS, but yeah, John says we have the AI file. I want to know how I'm Brain D did this so quickly. That was amazing. I even like this as a logo. Just like the colors.
Cool if I could see
it. Click on it. It's fantastic, Thomas. You're missing out. Click on it, Thomas.
It's going to give I'm Brian D complete control over your Windows machine, but hey.
Brian D, I do believe he just called you a virus. I don't know how you feel about that, but I would take offense to it. So look at that. So now I just got to fill in the colors.
He can't click on it.
That's the other thing. If you think that's pretty cool, because if you think about it, you can't right click and download the file. You'd have to screenshot this if you wanted to like steal the image, or you could just grab the code. Obviously, view
yeah,
page.
A lot of the font icon stuff is done with SVGs.
This is awesome.
Sure sounds awesome.
See, this is why we do the show, so we can learn something.
So other people can do work for us. I like it. Do that more often. All right. Speaking of which, go ahead, John. I just cut you off.
That's fine.
I won't be able to edit that in post. Just FYI.
That's fine. At what point do you guys open a PR on an open source project versus sending a private patch to the maintainer?
Well, why would you say private patch?
Something came up recently. So if you found a major security vulnerability,
Mm.
Do you disclose it right away, or how
There's
do you
legal
handle
liabilities
that?
there, I believe.
Well, and there's actually a cordial way of doing it. So you're right, John. You open up you if you can patch it. I mean, if you find a vulnerability and don't have a patch, you still private message
Hmm.
the maintainer, give them opportunity
Give them
to
your
fix
Bitcoin
it.
address.
I think the kind of standard is it like 30 days or something? They have like 30 days to address it. But yeah,
Usually, you give
uh,
some sort of time frame where you say, "Hey, I'm not going to tell anybody for X amount of time, 30 days,
mm-hmm,
and if you don't respond, it's I'm I'm going to make it public as a service to people that are using your application or your library or whatever, so that they can either find a way to fix it or stop using
In
it."
in all
mm-hmm,
honesty, I would get my hands clean of it as soon as possible. So I would contact a security firm, tell them I've discovered this issue, and that I would like credit in the final, write up or whatever, but I don't want to be responsible for the disclosure, for the communication, for the patch. Security stuff is scary. I don't want any liability attached to my name. I would call up somebody who does it professionally.
How is there liability on you if you found a bug somebody else wrote?
Because if you report the bug and then you didn't follow all the proper steps and precautions, and it turns out someone else already discovered this bug and has been exploiting it or blackmailing people with it, then they could say, "Oh, you must be the guy who's been blackmailing me," or "You've disclosed something of national security importance, and that's a violation of whatever."
But don't you run that risk even if you contact a security
No,
firm?
because they handle these things
There's
professionally. They've got lawyers. They've
Right, but you've now attached your name to it, so
Then I
if
might
that
not attach my name to it.
maintainer or whoever is still being blackmailed, you still have that same liability concern.
Then I might not attach my name to it at all. I might just say, "Hey, you guys, look what I found."
John. I guess the real question is, did you find a security bug?
No, it was brought up in Discord. Somebody was asking me, and they didn't have time to contact the maintainer right away. And I was like, so I went through my spiel of, if it's a security issue that you don't want somebody else to take advantage of, contact them privately and let them know. And if you have a patch, great. If not, at least disclose it to them so they can get it fixed.
Mm.
And if they don't respond within some amount of time, then you can bring it up. I wouldn't open a public GitHub issue for a security issue.
Right.
That's fair. Yep.
Yeah, I'd want my hands clean as soon as possible. Honestly.
That's good things to think about. I haven't thought about that.
You know what else we should think about? Our
Thank you.
Certainly our
Patreons.
Patreons.
Did you clean up some last time? But
Yes. Yeah, why
it's
do you have
sorted
buttery at
by
the bottom?
oldest.
I thought we had this conversation. Yeah, but we've had this conversation so many times. So many times. I'll say, but I will say we've actually gotten quite a few new patrons that we probably owe some thanks for listening to us. Dating back to like last year, Lee, Mike Page, those people have been with us since November. Blaze, which I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce the name because he's got one of those weird things over the Z, but I'm calling him Blaze. Been with us. How would you pronounce Blaze's name? Anybody know?
Better than Blase.
Blaz? those.
Looks like blase.
But then we picked up Kendrick, Mike, and I'm missing somebody. Oh, you're missing somebody, actually, Thomas. We have a new Patreon as of February 1st. Why do you not have this one on your VAIDAS? Oh, no, you have it right there.
I swapped Buttery and
all right.
Vitus.
Vitus. All new Patreons. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us.
Thank you
very much. I think I'm going to try to start doing some things for the Patreons. I need to get the Discord piece working. We have a Discord channel for Patreons. I think I just need to physically start adding them to the Discord channel because it doesn't seem to happen through Patreon. But I need to get them in. Kendrick, I know they're very active in our regular general encoding channel. So I know they're in Discord. I don't know if they have their Discord ID associated to their Patreon. I don't even know how to do that. But I think Buttery figured it out. But it didn't seem to work after the fact. So I think I need to manually add people. But I'll do that. I need to get you guys in there. But I'm going to try to get some stuff posted. And it'll be stuff that I'll post on PHPUgly eventually. But I'll probably post it in Patreon, keep it there for a week or two and then post it on the regular YouTube channel. So nobody will miss anything. It'll just be a perk of being a Patreon.
What else we got? Facebook versus Australia.
I don't really talk about that. You want to talk about that? You have something to say about
Facebook banned.
All right,
Facebook
go ahead.
banned news in Australia because the Australian government said you have to pay the source of the news articles for duplicating their content on people's feeds. And I just want Facebook to do this for America too. Can we please ban news on Facebook feeds in America? That would be super.
And this is the crazy thing about it. It's my understanding of it is it's not necessarily Facebook is posting the content from these news sources. This is just whenever anybody shares a link to a news article from a news station, they want to get paid for that. And Facebook's yeah, that's not how the internet works. And no, we're not gonna pay you for it.
The same thing is happening with Google too. It's not just Facebook.
Now, Google's a little bit of a different.
Google's taking a little bit of a different
approach. Google has been
approach.
acting as an aggregator and just sort of collecting all the news and then republishing it without linking to the destination sites.
Roger says this is not just news. Roger, I'd be curious to hear what you mean by that. But let's continue because he's on a delay. Or we wait. Author pages are being stripped.
It's very interesting. Australia is really well known for its extremely heavy-handed internet regulation, or just digital media in general. Their video game prices are extremely high compared to the U.S. They have a very, very strict rating systems in place. So it's not surprising that it's Australia, but it's interesting.
Well, I think if it was just Australia, Google and Facebook wouldn't care. I think what they're worried about is Australia setting some sort of precedence that, hey, this is how it should be done, and then the UK and America tries to mimic it. I hear it from my wife all the time. It's a frustration of mine. So many trending links on Twitter end up being New York Times articles that have a paywall, or a Washington Post article that have a paywall. And you go to the trending, and they'll say cruise goes to Cancun, and 50 the whole page is 50 pages that link to the same New York Times article that is behind a paywall. And it drives me nuts. It drives the wife crazy too, because she just wants to see what the article's about, and I bail out on them. I don't even care about it at that point. But I don't know, man. It's yeah. I think this is old media trying to find a way to continue to survive. And to their defense, I mean, they feel like they're doing the work. They should get some sort of compensation for it. You know, they're making their articles. They're making the news. They're writing the news, and then somebody just copies a link to that
Isn't
article.
exposure
And
compensation enough?
I don't know.
That's what I keep getting told.
Apparently not.
But
I mean,
if you're
yeah, the judge said the exposure was good.
Is it that
totally different case?
Is it that maybe I'm missing something? Is the fact that they're reposting the meat of the article within Facebook versus a link
that was
back
Google's
to
issue. But in the case of Facebook, I believe there's like specific character count restrictions, and there might even be link to fees, like fees to link to another page.
Mm-hmm.
That seems weird.
Yeah, a lot of them have been trying to figure out ways to monetize
net neutrality
this.
is important, and fortunately, we have somebody new in place who theoretically cares about net neutrality.
Good
First,
Yes, Brian D has asked if he should get banned for trying to blackmail us for him posting in our Discord.
That's a weird interpretation, but sure.
No, Brian, we're not paying you.
I looked at it again. I'm like, did I read that correctly? I don't feel like I read that correctly. But he brings up a good point. I mean, when we do show notes, I just link to the articles we spoke about. As a matter of fact, last week we were actually throwing them in Discord as we spoke about them. Totally forgot about that. We should have been doing that. But I mean, yeah, that opens up a whole can of worms. It's like, okay, now, do we need to pay somebody for even talking about the story that was on this website? And
yeah,
I don't know. It can get ugly.
I guess we're out of a show. You did say this was our last one.
We're shutting down. I didn't even record this one. That's how much I know we're done. I didn't even record it. That's it. Finished.
I'm Brian D. And Brian, we got it. Thomas was trying to be funny. For trying being the key term there. For some reason in my YouTube feed, all of a sudden I've got a crap ton of Australian Shark Tank episodes coming in.
Oh, Shark the invention one?
Since we're the entrepreneur, going to get funding. But yeah, for some reason that's been on my feed a lot lately.
Australian specific one. Is there a new kind of boomerang I should know about?
Well, not. Well, now you know.
That seems racist, there, Thomas.
We'll just cut that in the theoretical edit.
No, but it is interesting hearing them use terms that I'm not familiar with. We're used to clothespins, and they called them something completely different. What I can't remember what it was now, but it was just one of those things. Like you're trying to break into the U.S. market, because it's a lot of them we're expanding, and it's all about expanding from Australia into the U.S. market. Not all about, but quite a few of the ones I've seen are. And it's like, nobody calls that here. How is that going to succeed?
It's really weird hearing the C word that much during your lunch break.
What
are you talking about?
Not familiar.
I mean,
with
I gotta be honest. What wasn't paying attention?
Right. Clearly, this show has run its course. There's one article on here that I will not let Eric get to.
And I can't even. Yeah, if anybody's interested in Livewire, I found a good Livewire article out there. Laravel Livewire. That's not your typical Laravel Livewire article.
But I only see one thing when I'm looking at the picture that's in that card, and it's
dynamite.
This entire time, I'm like, looks like a. It looks
What?
like porn.
What?
All I see is a vagina, and that's
What?
all
We
I
are
see
looking
there.
at different pictures.
Oh, what are you? We totally must be.
I'm
I
sorry.
did not
I'm
do
s-
it.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be rude. It's just
Okay.
That's like nobody
It's
can
the-
see it. I don't post the pictures in the show notes. Yes, I'm going to post a nice little article for Livewire. I like it because it's a little different than your typical Livewire tutorials out there. It has a couple of
And if
cool
anyone's
things
seen
in there.
all
So
of the Livewire
I'll
tutorials,
post that.
it's Eric.
It's me, man. I've seen them all
We
a couple
worked on a
times
fun issue
over.
today
Love 'em.
together. You wanted a conditional
We
in your
did.
eloquent statement. And
That's right. And when you said the solution, I realized, yes, that's the thing, isn't
yeah,
it?
eloquent has a conditional when method. So you can inline all your things.
Well, no, it wasn't even that. I forgot that the article you linked to. So I had a case. I had a use case where I basically needed to add things to my eloquent query based on conditions of the environment, and I was doing it with the where case, and I was passing a function in it, and I would do some stuff in there. But then Thomas linked me to something, a Stack Overflow, and I totally forgot that you can actually initiate an eloquent query and then stop it, like do a semicolon, like do a users where active is 1:, do some condition, and then continue that eloquent query. So you have to assign the eloquent query to a variable. So say you create a variable users, and it initiates this eloquent query. Then you can do some conditions and say, okay, now users, where, I don't know, state is California, based on some conditions. Anyways, I'd forgotten that my eloquent query didn't have to be one long query, that I could actually break it into multiple
that's
parts as long as I
the
assigned
whole
this.
point of
Don't make
method
him feel
chaining,
bad.
which is
We've
Yeah,
had a
John,
hard
I'm
enough.
a dick.
He's had a hard enough day.
Oh, I already know
You-
that. I think this is gonna be the lost episode, because I just know something's gonna go sideways with YouTube, and we're not gonna be able to get the audio. I can feel it. I can feel it happening.
But what Buttery didn't tell us was that none of
You-
the audio is coming through on the stream.
You want to make
I'd
Eric
love
really
to.
happy right now? You could
Oh.
kick it over to Harry Mack.
Well, we have to.
Oh, I think he's saying we're wrapping
We have
up.
to say our tagline at the end. We have to say goodbye and everything, and then we kick it over to Harry Mack.
I know. I was trying to be funny. It's that
I
time.
do want to take a moment. All my friends here in the U.S., pretty much anywhere in the U.S. except for Southern California and Florida, I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're staying warm. I hope you still have running water and electricity. Be cool. It's been. I mean, you don't need to go out anyways. We're still in a pandemic, but I know we're having quite the cold spell here in the U.S. So I feel yeah. I mean, I'm not even gonna talk about the fact that I'm still wearing shorts. We won't even talk about that. Y'all stay safe, stay warm, stay healthy, and
Get back on the national grid.
be cool.
Don't blame windmills.
All right, I think that's it. I'm not sure if we could screw this show up any more than we already have, so we're gonna take John's cue and wrap
Alrighty.
it up here. This is it. Episode 224 is in the books. I'm Eric.
I'm John.
Oh God, I forgot who I am. Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly. God,
I'm so
damn it.
confused.
I totally can't believe I botched that Zencaster record.
Things
Jeez.
happen.
I've
Christ,
got
man.
two different failure modes on my mouse right now, so I can totally believe anything at this point.
Oh. I mean,
Hey, Eric,
I'm
stop the recording.
Jesus.
I'm
Why don't you kick him too?
gonna
I would,
just
but he's
grab
too far
this from
away.
YouTube. There we go.
I need a good webcam emulator software. By the way, if anyone on Discord knows of one, because I'm using Logitech Capture as a loopback, and it thinks that it has permission to tell my mouse not to be on another screen and work.
A rat.
Yeah.
A rat.
Really, really dumb stuff. So maybe
Why
What's
is
that?
recording
Recording
paused?
I don't
paused.
even know how this software is stupid. I dislike it.
What's happening? What
don't
you
know.
building, John?
Right now, this is just a stupid toy. It's a marble
those are
machine.
fun.
No.
Yep. Decided to
I'm
do
Brian
that
D
next.
is all over this.
I'd love to see it.
Oh, look how beautiful that is. How'd you do that?
Look at that, 748 bytes.
I need to get you need to get the D down a little further there, but that's looking good. I mean, that's
feel
good
like our
enough.
fans are too good for us.
You're starting to feel that way?
We got
Kidding
listed
me?
in the annotated, the PHP annotated, and now I'm just like, I don't know what to do about it.
If you go to diegodev.com/logos, those are all our logos there.
This is how dumb I am. I just tried to. I
Big
just tried to go there. Because I was clicking
Why
on
would
the
that be
URL
dumb?
bar, and it's like, why isn't this? Oh, right. Still doesn't work. OBS has a virtual camera thing like built into it. I just need to figure out how to get it to work. So I'll have to
Oh yeah,
I'll
that's
have to
right.
call you
It does.
this week or something to see if I can get it piping into Skype.
This is talent, man. I tell you, people who do this are talented. People like Brian here are talented. I'm not talented. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
I told you when I was 19, I worked with my first graphic designer, and he was a weathered graphic designer. He was, probably 45 when I was 19, so he'd seen a lot of the garbage. And I just walked up to him one day when he was working on stuff, and I was like, that must be so cool to make a living making art. And he slowly turned around in his chair and looked at me and said, I don't make art. I make 700 left and right buttons, and they decide after looking at all of them that they need me to make 500 more. And I'd never had someone in a professional environment just fucking tell me they hated their life like that in like such just clear words. It's just like, you don't want to do this. I don't want to do this, but I have no choice. I have children.
But it's so true.
What's the deal with not getting? I think I bitched about this last week, but not getting payment information on job offers or like job interest stuff. Like people hit me up 4 or 5 times a week and they're like, hey, we think you'd be great for this junior dev position, contact me. I'm like, no, it's junior dev. Did you not see the 20 where it says years of experience? And then I had one this week where they were like, yeah, it's a senior dev position. And I was like, well, what are they offering? How much are they offering before we get into the whole thing? And she's like, well, what are you looking for? I'm looking for what you're offering.
Looking for anything.
Like,
It's the chicken egg situation. They want to get as they want to get as much as they can
Well,
for
I
as little
told
as
her
they
she
can
was-
pay.
Oh, that's too much.
Yeah.
Well,
You could resolve this by posting the salary
Already done
range up front.
guess who doesn't read anything you post on LinkedIn? People who use LinkedIn. They don't care.
Yep.
I've been offered jobs in San Diego twice this week. When like my LinkedIn profile at the top says I am not located in San Diego, I am in Colorado.
Yeah, I am not a LinkedIn
Hey.
fan at all.
And I get an email. I get an email
become
of
a-
every line in the conversation when I have the page open. It's like I'm having an active conversation with a person on LinkedIn, and every time they reply to something, it sends me an email with their reply. I've got
Really?
Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah.
I've never had a
I've
never had a
got the
conversation
page
on there.
Open. I'm reading it. You can't tell my like hover status with JavaScript. That's why they have like a digest mode where once a day it sends you. But like, I've had issues with that too, where I responded to someone the next day and they were like, "Oh, it was an immediate offer situation. It's too late now." Anyways,
All right. I'm going to drop off. You guys, appreciate it. Glad I was able to be here. Blah, blah, blah. It's been a very moving thing in
thank
my
you
life.
everybody on Discord. It's been it's always wonderful to have you
Yes,
guys and
thank
your
you.
conversations. And when I get my mouse working, I'm sure I'll incorporate the Discord conversations into the show a little bit more. But right now, I can't even scroll through them. So I'll get that
Yeah.
working. Thank you, everybody. As always, thank you, Buttery, for beta testing the beginning of our stream.
You never did switch over to Harry Mack, did you? After we.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know, Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John. You know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And